Hi and welcome to Geeks for Geeks. Can I have a quick +1 in the chat if I'm visible as well as equally audible? Let me just turn on my preview screen to know if I'm visible as well as audible or not. Okay, seems like I'm not visible. Okay, I'm fairly visible as well as equally audible. So let's start. So let's just see how many people have turned up. Okay, let me just refresh my screen so that I receive the doubts. Okay, so we have 0 people here, but we still need to continue because the show you are visible. And okay, Lalit, hey Lalit, how are you? Hey Coded bro. Okay, thanks a lot. So let's start. Today we would be doing yesterday's problem of the day, that is gadgets of Doraland. Okay, the name is quite funny and it's quite nostalgic. So the problem can be solved using hash and heap, but we don't require that, to be honest. And this is an easy level problem with a success percentage of 77%. Now let us see the problem statement. And I will try to solve the problem statement live here itself. So in a Doraland, people have unique identity numbers and they are known as DID. Okay, DID would be given. Doraemon owns the most popular gadget shop in Doraland. Okay, suppose there is a shop. Since its gadgets are in high demand, he has only K gadgets left to sell his gadgets to the most frequent customers only. Suppose he has only K gadgets left. If K is equal to 2, suppose he has only 2 gadgets left. Now he wants to sell it to the most frequent customer. It is quite a usual trick, to be honest. Okay. Now n customers visit their shop. Now there would be n customers and DID of each customer is given in the array ARR. Okay, so this is the DID that is given. So n customer means there would be 6 customers. So DIDs are 1, 1, 1, then 2, 2, and then 3. In case 2 or more people have visited his shop, the same number of times he would be priority to the higher DID. That means suppose DID number 5 has visited the shop 3 times and DID number 7 has visited the number 3 times. Now the frequency is not a quantity that can be used to determine the answer. Rather, the higher index, which is 7 here, can be prioritized and it can be seen that he would be given the gadget. Okay, and you need to find the DIDs of the people he sell his K gadgets to. So you need to tell the K number of people to whom the gadget is being sold out. Okay, so let us first solve the sample test case and then we would move on to the explanation of this question and how to. Okay, so what we can do is, suppose this is 1. So 1 is there. So 1, 2, 3. So 1 has appeared here 3 times. Okay, now we have 2 and 2. So 2 has appeared here 2 times. Now there is 3. 3 has appeared here once. Okay, now the most frequent customer is the first one. The most frequent next customer is the second one. And we have only two toys left to sell out. Okay, that's how we can. Okay, let me just refresh the screen. Seems like I'm not receiving. Okay, so 3. The slots for the toys are for 2, so we can say that 1 and 2 would receive that. Now let us solve the next test case. Now we would have a 1. So 1 has appeared how many times? 1, 2. So 1 has appeared 2 times. And then there is 2. So 2 has appeared 2 times. So 2 has appeared 2 times. Then there is 3. 3 has appeared 3 times. And then there is 4. 4 has appeared once. So the most prioritized customer here is this. So he would be ranked 1. He would be given the first preference. Then we have 2 and 2 both. So the larger index would be given the next preference. So the largest index is this. And now we again have a slot for only 2 arrays. That is why we can say that only 2 and 3 would be the person who would be given this toy. Now what we can do is we can just look at the range of this number that we are provided, and we are told that the range of this DID is still 1 to 10 to the power 4. Okay, this is the first observation. This is the first observation here, that we don't require any map or something, rather we can directly use an array, because 10 to the power 10 to the power 10 to the power 5 to 10 to the power 6 is allowed itself. Okay, then the next is that we need to prioritize the frequency. So prioritize according to the frequency. Next, if this frequency is same, then we need to prioritize the index itself. Okay, so हिंदी में समझा जाए तो क्या करना है, ये जो array के वैल्यूज है ये 1 से लेके 10 to the power 4 तक ही है, एंड सबसे पहले हमें हर जो इंसान आ रहे हैं उनके फ्रीक्वेंसी देखना, जिनके फ्रीक्वेंसी सबसे ज्यादा है उनको सबसे पहला प्रायोरिटी मिलेगा। उसके बाद अगर फ्रीक्वेंसी दोनों सेम हो जाता है तो जो इंडेक्स बड़ा है उसे पहला प्रायोरिटी मिलेगा। Fair enough? This is what you need to do itself. Okay, so now this is quite an implementation problem, so I would implement it and I would dictate, keep dictating, and you would understand it. Okay, so let's just start with this. I will just remove whatever is written again. So I don't want to write the array multiple number of times, so I would just write ARR of A, and then I would remove this comment itself, and then I know that I need to return a vector, so I can quickly do a vector of int of answer, and I would be storing the answer here itself. Okay, this is what we can do. Now what we can do is we can have a loop here. Okay, we need to hash the values in the array itself because the range is quite small. So we can say vector of int of 1000001. That is, it is 4 digits. Why last में 1 क्यों दिया है? Okay, let me just check. Okay, the voice is breaking. Okay, seems like this breaking thing has been over. So quickly let me know if this thing is over or not. Okay, voice is breaking. So now is the voice now good enough for you to hear? Okay, thanks a lot. So let's just proceed. So what we can do is we can have an array as the range is absolute. So last में 1 we are counting from 1, last में 1 4 we are start counting from 1 and not 0. Yeah, absolutely. This is because the indexes are, the array is or a vector is 0 indexed, but यहाँ पे तो 1 के हिसाब से दिया गया, that is why it is 1 itself. So whenever my voice breaks or something, quickly let me know, okay, so that others would be helped by that. Okay, fair enough. So now what we can do is we need to hash the values. Okay, मतलब सबका frequency store करते जाओ. Okay, so we need to store the frequency, like 1 is how many number of times, 2 is how many number of times, 3 is how many number of times. This is what we need to store enough. Okay, so let's use the for each loop, so that we need to write less, and then what we can do is f of e and then plus plus. This means that f of e is equal to f of e plus 1. Okay, fair enough. This is done, and now what we do is vector of pair of int and int. Okay, and we would name it as vnf. Okay, now we would run the loop from I is equals to 0. Again my voice is breaking. Okay. Okay, now tell me if my voice is clear or not. This is just a test audio. I request everyone to just tell me if the voice is clear or not. Okay, seems like it's quite clear, but still I want your feedback. So we would go through the index itself and we would do I plus plus, and then what we would do is, if f of I is greater than 0 itself, or we can just write this only, f of I is, that is, this is greater than 0, so f of I is, if it is greater than 0, it would return true. So this is quite evident from this only, and we can do vector of pushback, and we would just insert it there. Okay, we would just insert it there. What to insert? First we have the indexes, okay, and then we have f of I itself. Okay, now it's all done. Now what we would do is, vector of answer is already there where we store the answer. Okay, thanks a lot Coder Bro, thanks a lot Yashwant, thanks a lot Sanjeev, thanks a lot Sumidhe. Same, fair enough. So now what we need to do is, we need to sort this. Okay, we need to sort this, but before sorting this we need to have something like this, boolean. Let's just have a comparator, and we would get what values? We would get this values, vector of, so vector of pairs of this. Okay, so we would name it as A, and then we would name it as B, and this implies that at which conditions you want A to be placed before B itself. Okay, so if A of second, that is the frequency, if the frequency of the first is greater than the frequency of the second, if this is the case, then we return true itself. Else if the if the frequency first, this side frequency is less than this side frequency, we would return false. Okay, A of second is less than B of second, then we would return false. Okay, else if A of second, or you can directly write the else only. Okay, because this is only the remaining condition, ज़्यादा छोटा, ज़्यादा बड़ा छोटा, or same. Okay, B of second, if both are same, then we need to return what? We need to return A of first is less than, is greater than B of first. Okay, let me just say it. Okay, if the frequency of the first one is greater than the frequency of the second one, we would say yes, this is true, and you can just pass on. If it is less, we would say this is not valid and we are not doing that. If the frequency is the same, then the indexes of the first one should be greater than the indexes of the second one. Now what we do is, v dot begin and v dot end, and then we just need to mention CMP, and here we add a static. Okay, things are fine here itself, and then what we need to do is, k is already there, then we have int I is equals to 0. Now we'll start picking up the values. Okay, start picking up the values. So while k is greater than 0 and I is less than, v dot size, that is v of size. Next what we do is answer dot push back. Okay, which was the first character? A of first, so v of I dot first. Okay, first one we would get inserted, and then I would get incremented, and because we have used one k, so k would get decremented. After that, this is done, and we would return this answer. Okay, so let me just quickly see again and just compile and run. So if a of second is greater than b of second, we would return 1, else we would return a of second is less than b of second, we would return 0, then a of first is greater than b of first, and then vector of answer, vector of the frequency, we would start hashing the values. Next we have a vector of pairs of int comma int, and if f of I is greater than 0, then we would just insert that with the frequency, because if it is 0 frequency, there is no point in inserting all the characters itself. And then we have the sorting with the comparator, then we have int I is equals to 0, then k is equals to k is already given. Can you please keep the mic further? It will become more clear. Okay, now it should become more clear, I think so. Okay, fair enough. And this is, we are pushing up the first character, the first digit itself, and then its frequency. So we would push the first digit itself, then we would come to I plus plus, then we have inserted the key, and then we are returning this answer. We have already, please discuss by hashing. Hashing is this, we are hashing it. Okay, we are hashing the current thing in this one, and heap is nothing but we just declare a priority queue where the sorting thing would be done by default. You don't need to do this. And now why we need to prefer this hashing instead of this sorting? Why? I would tell you the reason. Because we should prefer priority queue when we want sorting at each step. अगर हमें कोई चीज को सॉर्ट करना है हर एक स्टेप के बाद, we after every insertion and deletion, then we should use a priority queue. But if that thing is not required, we only want the resultant sorting, just सारा calculation कर लिया, बस last में कोई sorting करके मुझे दे दे, वो enough है. In that point of time, we should just use the sorting itself. Okay, we don't require that. Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you, but still I would wait for the next 1 minute to see if there is any doubts that's popping in. So, and then we will turn off the session itself after 1 minute time frame. So quickly tell me with the line number mentioned, just mention the line number at which we are not able to understand, and I would be more than happy to explain you again. Just quickly tell me at which line number you need to understand. Okay, I would be explaining you. Okay, so I see no doubts popping in. So that's it for today. Thank you and have a nice day. Keep coding. Coder brain question TC is good, but this will take n log n. TC time limit is big O of n, and the auxiliary space is big of n. Yeah, this is done. But here we are sorting the values, so it would be n log n. Okay. Yeah, what you can do is you can directly take care of this one, and you can directly use 2 pointers algorithm, and you can directly insert that. That won't be a problem. But this is quite intuitive, much more intuitive than the given that 2 pointer algorithm one. That's why we are preferably going with this. That's it for today. Thank you and have a nice day.